Wait, Ben! I shouted to my brother. We had been running the whole way from our house. I was already exhausted. Come on, Luke, you're always so slow. I'm running as fast as I can. Ben, my brother, never waited for me when we'd go to the beach at the lake. He's 4 years older than me, so he's always been faster. It was my birthday the following week, though, so then it'd only be 3 years difference. He'd been teasing me about my slowness all summer, as usual. I always take too long. When will I have another growth spurt so I can take bigger strides? I'm used to it. If you're the younger sibling like me, you'll get it. Our parents' house is really close to this really huge lake. Like, so huge, if you wanted to walk around it, it would take you weeks. Which was super cool, because it means that there were no grown-ups to bother us when we go play. We spent so many summer days there on the beach, or playing around on the bigger rocks, seeing who could collect the most seashells, or whatever game we had concocted that day. Sometimes we'd find a dead animal to poke at, and look at the edge of the water. That day was different, though. Ben and I were on a bona fide mission. He'd been telling me about these rumors he'd heard at school. The rumored treasure of the lake. There was a group of thieves, pirates, who had stolen a crate of gold in olden times. They loaded it up onto a smaller boat and came inland to stash it. They went so far upriver, they came to one of the Great Lakes, then dragged their boat over land into our lake. Sounds stupid, right? Well, he was my brother. Bigger, faster, smarter. So I believed him. We were walking along the beach, pebbles crunching underfoot. I was hopping along, trying to copy the way he did, aiming for certain colors of stones. I even know exactly where it's buried, Ben said. What do you think is inside? I don't know, but that's what we're gonna find out, little Luke. I'm not little. He laughed at me, and we kept walking a while. Luke, there it is. What? Where is it? I don't see anything. Right there. That's the mast of the pirate ship. That just looks like a tree trunk that fell into the water. No, don't you get it? Pirates had to be sneaky, so the smartest pirates would make their boats look as natural as possible. Like I said, he was my brother, so I believed him. Oh, I get it. Like camouflage. Right. As we came to the point where the beach closest reached the sunken tree, we considered how best to get to it. Ben, I'm not so good at swimming yet. I know, man, don't worry. We'll figure this out. The trunk was still a good 30 feet out, and I know I couldn't wade out even half that. I'll tell you what, you stay up on that rock, and I'll go out into the water. You'll be able to see better than me, So you need to tell me to go left, right, or straight ahead. How's that? Sounds like a plan. I'll tell you where to go, I replied, beaming at my role in the mission. He started swimming out, way too far left. Right, go right! I yelled. Straight? He'd cry back, and he began swimming slowly further out. No, Ben, right! Right! After a few more minutes of directing on my part, and fervent splashing on his, he was at the trunk. You made it! I cried triumphantly. We made it, he responded. While I was stood up on the rock cheering, Ben's face turned from joy to concern. Whoa. Hey, Luke, can you see anything in the water? No, and you can't scare me by pretending there's monsters. No, Luke, seriously. Something is in here. Not funny, Ben. Luke, I'm being sick. Before he could finish, Ben was pulled under the water, thrashing. As he came up again, he flung his arms around a branch on the tree. Luke! I just watched it happen. I couldn't swim. I couldn't see anything near him. Luke! He was pulled under again, the branch snapping off easily and going with him. Cue more thrashing. In all the time this was happening, I was stood at the water's edge, motionless. I was 9. I was not equipped to deal with a situation like this. I stood there, hoping to see my brother bounce up to the surface and laugh. He never played jokes like this, but I hoped it was a joke, even though I hated it. The only thing that came to the surface was a rippling wave of bubbles. I ran straight home. I didn't stop. They called it an accidental drowning. I heard it enough over the following days, months, and years that eventually I believed them. I don't know why I came back here. Why my parents insisted on having a birthday bash for me at the old homestead. I had not visited since college, maybe 7 years ago. We'd always gotten together at Aunt Lucy's, or some event we were all going to, like a town barbecue. It was weird sleeping in my old room, seeing the pinboard of whatever comics Ben and I had tried making. It was clear who did what panel. I always had trouble with the lines. I never took them down after he died. And evidently, my parents barely touched his room. I didn't really know what to feel. Was it good they had kept the room that way? Or sad? I don't know if I'd be more or less upset at it being repurposed. Normally, I could avoid reliving that day. But at home, There was no escaping it. I didn't sleep. I just thought about Ben. As dawn broke, I got up, showered, all that stuff. I decided to head out to the lake. Still, I took a slow walk there. Each crunched twig suddenly snapping the memory back to my head. How we grabbed onto one of the sunken tree branches, and it just snapped right off before he went under. Each birdsong in the distance sounding just like it did then. Each accidentally kicked stone rocketing back the rustling of the pebble shoreline. Around an hour later, I reached the lake. It was so still and peaceful. My steps crunched as I followed the water to that same spot. That sunken tree was still there, albeit a bit more worn now. Must have really dug in there, I guess. I gazed out to the lake, to the beach on either side of me. Still no lifeguards on the lake. Ben wasn't the first kid to drown in this lake, and he won't be the last. It hurts me to say that. I feel a lump in my throat even as I write this, because it's not just another kid. It's another Ben. It's someone's child, someone's brother, sister, you know? And yet, no lifeguards. Still, I can swim now. And I'm not afraid of the lake. Not afraid of the water. So I swam. I stripped down to my boxers, left the clothes by one of the familiar flat rocks we'd always leave clothes on, and waded in. I floated on the water, swam lengths to what seemed like Ben used to do, while I skipped stones towards him. It always seemed so far, but it really wasn't. It was almost funny how near to the shore it was. I decided to head out further to where the tree was. My breathing quickened, but I knew this was just nerves. As I reached it, holding onto the trunk, I felt a small torrent spin around my waist. I spun, trying to look down into the water. As I continued to spin, I felt it stroke across me again and again, faster and faster. Eventually, I felt a profound grip, or grips. I was pulled under so damn quickly, I barely managed to take a breath as it happened. I felt the rush of water into my ears. For a moment, nothing but that boom of noise as it hits your eardrums. Then, I could hear wailing. Wailing and screaming. Screaming out of anger. In the water, I swear I could see faces. Tortured. Violent. Through the barest glints of light, I could almost make out these watery arms tightly wound around me. The pressure of their vice-like hands. Down and down I went. My only frames of reference were the light dimming and the fallen trunk. Whatever these things were, they wanted me dead. These are what killed my brother. Water rushed around and hit me in the stomach. I lost my breath in a jet of bubbles. The reflex to inhale was unstoppable, and I inhaled deep from the lake's murky depth. Calm overtook me. These are what will kill me. I stopped resisting. I looked at the swirling whirlpool of these ghouls around me. From below, I saw a glowing light, shimmering, expanding. Bottom to the top, the whirlpool was illuminating. I felt the watery hands around me disappearing, and for a second, I felt the bright glow. It was warming my chest. This was followed by a profoundly strong surging current. If I had any left, it would have knocked the wind out of me that time for sure. I was pushed and pushed, upward and backward. I burst up from the surface of the lake and slapped heavily onto the edge of the waterline. I'm pretty certain I vomited half the lake, too. I clambered up the stony beach, my chest heaving, thankful for the oxygen. I took a moment to be still, contemplate the fact I almost drowned just now. I lay there on the edge of the water, staring up at the sky, feeling the warm sun on my wet skin. As I felt a tug around my ankle, I scrambled backwards up the beach. I realized it wasn't any kind of being, but a ribbon. A long ribbon that had somehow tangled around me. As I pulled on it, a decently sized, quite old-looking chest was dragged up, scraping the pebbles as I trawled it from where it had been. A few little crustaceans growing on it. It looked like a miniature pirate's chest. Finding the clasp, I was surprised to see the inside was perfectly dry. There were 2 snorkels and a rolled up piece of paper. Happy surprise early birthday present, little brother. I might be taller, stronger, and way smarter than you right now. True, don't argue. But you'll catch up in no time. When you do, we'll use these to go find actual treasure. You'll probably worry, but you don't need to. If you get into trouble in the water, I'll save you. It's what older brothers are for. I love you, little Luke. Ben. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more, let me know in the comments below, and tell me what you thought of this narration. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for updates, and if you'd like to get early videos, shoutouts, high quality MP3 downloads of my narrations, and much more, I'd appreciate it if you check out my Patreon page. It's a place where you can help support my channel while getting awesome rewards in the process, and every pledge helps out a ton, no matter the size. So if you'd like to see all the rewards I offer and consider becoming a patron, it'd mean a ton to me if you'd click the link in the description and just check it out. And don't forget to show some love to the amazingly talented authors who make these narrations possible. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.